college basketball returns on a Friday night here in the Commonwealth. Where else would you rather be? Inside or Rupp Arena, the fans are back. Hoops returns. And 10th-ranked Kentucky in action for its final tune-up against Miles College out of Division II. Just 4 days away from the incredible matchup with number 9 Duke up in the Empire State. Great to have you with us with the Professor Mark Wise. I'm Roy Philpott. Fans are back. Electricity returns. Feels different right now for us. We're happy to be on site too.
And Roy, I'm happiest for the players. Why? Because this season they get to play with a little juice in the building.
There's a lot of juice in the arena tonight. And for Coach Calipari, look, he's got a team looking to bounce back after a tough season a year ago. They've got 4 new transfers, an infusion of young talent as always. He's got a checklist. He needs to kind of dot the I's and cross the T's tonight, right?
And I think that checklist starts with execution. Are you in the right place at the right time on both ends of the floor? Your field goal percentage or maybe your rebound margin. Decision making. Are you moving the ball ahead? Your assist to turnover ratio. Combinations. Who gets to play with who and for how long? Who's the backup point guard? Who's the backup 5? Conditioning. There is a huge difference between being in practice shape versus game shape when the lights are brighter. And lastly, get healthy, or maybe in Kentucky's situation, stay healthy, because they have had to deal with some preseason injuries.
Preseason predicted to win the SEC regular season championship according to the media poll that came out just a couple of weeks ago, and also ranked obviously in the top 10. This should be a lot of fun. Miles College located just outside of Birmingham, Alabama, and Coach Cal some last-minute words. A good crowd on hand here tonight. Boy, again, we'll say it for the next 2 hours. It feels good to be back.
Can you say it again?
It feels great to be back.
This is what we've missed.
Yes.
We missed the atmosphere, the in-person atmosphere that makes college hoops so special.
Big weekend on campus. Tennessee and UK tomorrow. A lot of people talking about the Vols and the Cats on the gridiron. We got some business to take care of first inside of Rupp. Cats defeated Kentucky Wesleyan in their first exhibition matchup about a week ago, 95-72. Tempo is up, scoring is up. The opening tap controlled by Big Blue Nation. Ty Washington, first bucket of the night.
He plays with such a maturity about him. Utilized the rim as a protector there.
First possession for Miles College. Kind of a different feel tonight before the regular season gets underway. And we'll walk you through what we think is happening in the SEC and here in Lexington. Stop and pop, Roger Davis connection.
I was at Miles' shoot-around today, and they run a lot of neat stuff. They are very pattern-oriented.
Here Wheeler, of course, a transfer from Georgia, preseason All-SEC. And stepping out of bounds, he'll turn it over on his first touch.
We talked about decision-making, one of the items on the checklist. Wheeler lost track where he was on the baseline.
I mean, you were in mid-season form with the checklist sent to our production team about a week and a half ago. So you see the starting 5 for the Golden Bears out of the SEAC. Hooker, a preseason All-SEAC performer. Golden Bears back to work. HBCU on the road, first ever meeting. Elijah Horton from downtown, and it's 5-2.
Nice little action on top. Screen the screener off the ball. I talked about how they execute things. They've won a lot of games over the last 3 years.
Brooks was tapped on the elbow in the process of shooting. Keon Brooks to the stripe.
Talked about the 3-way action. Watch, here comes screen the screener. And that is the young Elijah Horton knocking down the 3-ball. And Miles off to a great start.
Foul was called against Hooker. 2 shots. Keon Brooks. I know you're really high on Brooks. He's on the preseason second team All-SEC, but you have him really as one of the most improved players in the league.
He's on my breakout team, and I tried to keep most of the guys, and we'll get into this as the broadcast proceeds, but I tried to get a lot of guys that weren't double-figure scoring. Brooks just barely was in double figures a year ago, just a little over 10 points a game.
It's a different Kentucky team this year. Each of the 4 new transfers, 2 transfer players also from last year's roster still in the fold. And a three-pointer is good. Yasim Hooker.
Hooker was just 3 of 8 in that shortened season a year ago.
Tshiebwe off the mark with a dunk, and here comes Miles College. Partner, I don't know about you. I'm not sure that this was the start we expected, but welcome to college basketball.
Yeah, I'm thinking Cal may go to that bench quickly tonight.
When you mentioned the combinations, really that's what the exhibition season is all about, finding who meshes well, finding out who doesn't mesh well perhaps on the floor at the same time early. Hooker goes to work, 4 on the shot clock, and the turnaround is there. He's got 5.
Nice little isolation for the left-hander.
Cats go to work. Brooks the runner. No, that was an alley-oop attempt, and it was broken up inside.
Hey, what you have to be careful of is how long do you play defense versus how long you play offense.
Elijah Horton, his second triple. He's got 6. 13-4, 2.5 minutes in. And the Cats will call a timeout. So John Calipari, what's he telling his team right now after this fast start by Miles College?
Well, I think he's talking about defense right now. Getting your feet above the arc, because right now Miles a perfect 5 for 5 from the field and basically getting whatever look they want. And that is not going to sit well with that head coach.
With this team this year, offensive production's going to skyrocket, right? We know that. Is the defense more of a question mark in your mind, in the mind of Coach Cal?
I think it is, because he's had guys and has gotten guys in his past. He's had to teach them how to play defense. When you recruit a lot of one and dones, you have to always spend more time, I think, teaching defense than offense. Well, he's got a bunch of transfers, but the transfers are also offensively driven dudes. So they've also got to have a learning curve on the defensive end.
Veteran officiating crew tonight: Mike Nance, Alandis Poole, Rob Rohr. And the Cats back to work. Everything running through Brooks in the early going. Working against Hooker. Contested fadeaway off the mark. Tshiebwe gets it and lost the handle.
You got to look for a kick out there. 3 defenders around you. That's usually when the best 3 balls happen.
It kind of feels like a real game early on, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Put all the side topics to the side for a little while. Fred Watson's done a great job with Miles College. He's got mass substitutions coming in. 4th season.
Well, you have to be committed to this, don't you? To make this mass substitution when your team's ahead 13-4?
The answer's yes. Had to stew on it for a minute. 3 minutes in, 13-4. Cale Carter checking in for the first time, as does Truett Spencer for the Golden Bears. Here's Chase Ballard, 5 to shoot, and he stepped out.
One of the combinations that I talked about, who would be the backup 5-man. Lance Ware comes in for UK. There's a look at Ware.
What do you make of Tshiebwe and kind of where he fits in? Obviously, he's been on campus since February and now eligible for the first time. I mean, he's a rebounding machine, right?
Yeah, he's a block-to-block presence that maybe Kentucky did not have enough of a year ago. And we're going to talk about what each of the transfers brings to this roster.
I like the moves. I like the additions. I mean, there's some shooters, there's some rebounders.
Do we call them now off-season acquisitions with the transfer portal?
I think you can. Another turnover. And it's back to Miles College. That'll be their 3rd miscue here in the early going.
Too many self-inflicted turnovers.
Right. I mean, the combination of players with Grady, you know, he can shoot the 3 coming from Davidson, with Wheeler, led the SEC in assist-to-turnover ratio a season ago at Georgia. Tshiebwe, of course, the great rebounder from West Virginia. About this D. That's really just the tip of the iceberg. We haven't even seen C.J. Frederick yet. Finally a miss. And Wheeler hit the deck and was fouled by Ballard.
The foul is on Ballard. That's his first.
Bryce Hopkins checking in, as does Collins for the first time. 4 and 23.
I think the great thing about this roster, the depth for Kentucky, I think is here all season.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be much whittling down.
Has that been the case?
No.
In recent years?
No.
Because it doesn't seem like it, right? I mean, I'm kind of shaking off the basketball rust for a moment. Corner three. Washington buries it. He's got a good outside shot, doesn't he?
Yeah, very quiet release. Nice job by Wheeler, who saved another turnover.
One thing you'll see with Washington this year, he's poised. Look at Wheeler. Like a blanket. And an open look from downtown for Mikhail Carter. And the hot shooting continues for the Golden Bears.
Now remind me who the home team is and who the visitors are.
Buddy, it's early. Hopkins. Thought he was fouled off the rim. Putback is off the mark by Collins. Slapped away. That's a traveling violation. Fairly turns it over, but Miles College, the early story, perfect from the perimeter to start three for their first three.
Well, it's one thing to start hot from bonus land, but my goodness, Miles has knocked down 4 already, and the visitors on top in rough.
Mentioned it a few minutes ago, you got some talent, and this new talent has quite a bit of experience, starting with Severe Wheeler.
And Cal addressed some shortcomings in the roster a year ago. Severe Wheeler, that assist per game, 5th best in the NCAA. Better shooting was needed, so welcome Grady and Frederick to the mix. And then a bigger presence block to block down in that high rent district. Tshiebwe especially effective on the offensive glass.
Tshiebwe passes the eye test, stepping off the bus for the first time, right? I mean, he's a physical specimen.
All the Kentucky players talk about what it's like in practice going against Tshiebwe. Because basically, when you try to block him out or when you run into him, he doesn't give.
It's like running into a brick wall. On the bench for the time being, back in rough, 16-7. Miles College has made 6 of their first 7.
So here's a first look at the backup point guard. When we talked about combinations, it's Washington.
His overall size impressed me, and not height necessarily, but he doesn't look like a first-year player. He's got 6 in the early going already.
He is so calm, collected, doesn't get in a hurry, kind of has a old school game feel to him.
Oh, I like that comparison there. And that's a turnover. Ballard gives it right back. I was talking with the director of recruiting for college basketball at ESPN earlier today, Paul Biancardi. The one word he kept coming back to with Ty Washington, as you see wholesale substitutions again, poise.
Right.
And I like that word for a guy that's just stepping into this kind of role under this kind of spotlight. If you've got poise there with number 3 in white, you got a chance to go a long ways this season.
What does it say when your head coach starts you at the 2 guard and moves you to the point? I think that speaks volumes, does it not?
Yeah.
I thought Kentucky early on was trying to do too much off the bounce.
Back iron Collins. Ware with the offensive rebound. Mentioned the Cats picked first in the SEC preseason poll. Here's a turnover.
Again, trying to do too much off the bounce.
Ty Washington, the only starter still on the floor for Coach Cal's club, and a foul on the attack on the floor as Bryce Hopkins was hacked by Patrick Rucker. That'll be his first.
And for a freshman, that body of Hopkins is so impressive. 6'6", 220 pounds. But I got to tell you, that dude's got some guard skills in him.
Cats patient on offense. And inside to Collins. Short.
Not a bad look, though. That got the ball where it was supposed to go.
If you're a player on this roster right now, did you have to be careful tonight? Not necessarily in worrying about the outcome, but just thinking about what's to come 4 nights from now in the State Farm Champions Classic up in NYC against Duke. I mean, right? That's only natural.
Absolutely, man. You're playing a Division II school, and I don't care how good they are. Well, I know one thing. If they haven't gotten Kentucky's attention, they have now.
Yeah. Another turnover. Roger Davis lost the handle. Jacob Toppin reporting in for the first time. That's a good sign because we didn't see him in that win against Kentucky Wesleyan. Been dealing with a bit of a shoulder injury, so younger brother of Obi on the floor now, numeral 0.
Yeah, a guy that averaged over 5 points and 3.5 boards per game last year. Solid at the free throw line, 78%.
So we mentioned that exhibition opening victory against Kentucky Wesleyan, and a look at the minutes played.
Well, Toppin becomes the 11th guy in this mix. I mean, obviously this is one of the things that Cal is going to have to navigate himself through with all these bodies and all of this depth.
Inside to Toppin with a flush.
But tell me, how did Kentucky score? Off the bounce or off the pass?
Always comes back to the pass for you, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
It's like you're in postseason form all of a sudden. There's the spin and the rejection from behind. Toppin snuck in there. Stolen right back. Here's Hooker. And off the pump fake, he was hammered. Free throws coming for number 1, and the foul on Allen is first.
Maybe Kentucky's best set on the half court. The little dump down pass from Hopkins to Toppin. Attract defenders, find a teammate.
As a coach, did you get antsy for exhibitions back in the day? Or was it just, okay, doesn't matter what happens here, we're just getting warmed up?
I think because we talked about the checklist, I think you focus on that. You don't really focus on the score in this game. You want to see the things that we talked about in the checklist in terms of executing. Right now, Cal's team, they've given the ball away way too many times. You talked about decision making.
Right. Did you run the checklist by Cal earlier today?
I did not. I asked him indirectly.
All right. Just asking. He may be watching later on and he'll say, okay, I agree here. I'm not so sure here, Professor Wise. Just thinking out loud for a minute. Lead is 5. Mintz attacking. And the putback is there. Bryce Hopkins cleans it up from Allen.
I just get the sense that Hopkins is going to become one of those guys, Roy, that can impact the game in a variety of ways.
Kind of the Swiss Army knife?
Yes.
All right. 1 possession game. Here's Mintz. The breakaways there.
If there's one thing I would complain about the Miles point guards in the early going, if you're going to dribble, go somewhere. So they're going back and forth. They're not really going anywhere.
Well, I mean, he's got Bryce Hopkins on him. That's kind of a tough draw. I mean, no offense to Patrick Rucker. Good player. Dave 3.
Goodness.
Roger Davis.
Just jump up and shoot your jumper.
And Miles College coming into Rupp. It's been electric from downtown. 5 for 5 from bonus land.
See, there's another shot off the bounce. I'd like to see a little bit more patience, ball reversal, work the defense a little bit. It's hard to run, though. If you're Kentucky, they want to play up tempo. It's hard to run when you're getting the ball out of the net all the time.
8 for Davis, 6 for 6 from behind the three-point arc so far for Miles College.
If anybody takes a 2 right now for Miles, they should be benched.
Division II Miles College. Giving UK a bit of a test early on. Here's another steal by Miller. And the bounce to Hooker off glass, 25-16. And another timeout will be called by the Cats. Roger Davis in Fuego on the road.
Again, this three-point shooting by Miles in the first half, contagious.
College Golden Bears, founded back in the late 1800s out of Fairfield, Alabama, just outside of Birmingham. Division II, SEAC champs. And I tell you what, they have started out on fire here inside of Rupp. An 8-0 run in less than a minute. And the championships we talked about earlier, head coach Fred Watson won the title back in 2019. We mentioned their all-conference performer, Yasim Hooker, and again in 2020, claimed that title. And Fred Watson got to feel good about their start this evening as well.
So that 2020 team got an hour away from Lakeland, Florida, where they were supposed to play in the NCAA tournament against Florida Southern. That's when the news came down that the tournaments were off, if you'll remember.
It's a painful memory,
okay.
Yes.
And so the bus, an hour out of Lakeland, the bus turned around and headed back north.
Bitter pill to swallow for
Yes.
all of us, March of 2020. Mark Weiss, Roy Philpott, courtside here at Rupp. And Cats get the basketball back after that 8-0 outburst and the hot three-point shooting for Miles College. Wheeler with the penetration and the easy bucket. 6 for 6 from downtown to start tonight for the Golden Bears.
Really good spacing that time by Kentucky in their half-court attack. Middle ball screen, which gives Wheeler room to operate.
How different will it be this year with fans back in arenas like Rupp, like Cameron Indoor, Allen Fieldhouse? I mean, the teams that had the home court advantages, like right here, will get those back.
Well, you need not look any further than this program, because a year ago in Rupp, Kentucky was 5-6.
Wow.
They have not had a losing season since this building was built.
Put an asterisk by that one. Without fans, shortened season. Corey and Dalton just checking in, goes to work. Here's a turnover. 1-on-3 for Grady with a strong finish. The Davidson transfer.
Ill-advised pass cross court, but Grady read that beautifully and shot the gap.
You know, it feels like for Grady, he was playing for Coach McKillop for like 17 years, just north of Charlotte, right? And now you get him here in Lexington. Just phenomenal acquisition. All that experience, all that three-point shooting. Kendrick Foster, a rare miss. First one from three-point range for Miles College tonight. Dalton well short. Tshiebwe back in, controls a rebound. Wheeler, sick crossover. Grady wide open. Count it. You're going to see a lot of that this season. And a timeout will be called by the Golden Bears. So it's 7-0 run for UK, making a one-possession game once again.
A really nice job by Kentucky in transition. It started with Washington, who made the simple play, but watch, Wheeler gets feet in the paint, attracts defenders. The kick out to Grady is on point, and Grady does what Grady does, knocks down shots. He, in his Davidson career, I'm talking about Kellen Grady, he had 43 games where he made 3 or more from bonus land.
That's a great nugget.
That's a lot. Guess
That is
what?
a lot.
That's over a season's worth.
Yeah. Well, we were at shoot-around earlier this morning, and Coach Cal walked in for the first time. He said, gentlemen, it's game day. If you're not excited right now, you're playing the wrong sport. Let's get it. Like, appreciate that, Cal.
Right. Well, he talked about at shoot-around today that he had seen some Miles tape, and he knew they were capable of this. But guess what? You can talk about it all you want, but until you like get hit in the mouth, I'm not sure you're sold on that. Well, Miles College came here and punched UK right in the mouth.
I mean, it goes back to the old Mike Tyson quote. Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth, right? Wheeler's defense has been elite, working against Chase Ballard.
Well, one of the rule changes this year is not to call a timeout so quickly. You're going to see a lot more jump balls this year in those situations. And guess what? I'm all for it because I was getting tired of the ball's in loose, there's a scrum, and all of a sudden somebody gets a timeout.
Another turnover. Stepping out was Ballard, and the Cats will get it back trailing by a bucket.
Second possession in a row where there's a scrum. I think Ballard's left foot was on the sideline as he tried to gather.
What's the scene going to be like up at Madison Square Garden Tuesday night, State Farm Champions Classic? I mean, you got some great teams there. You got Duke in Kentucky, Coach K's last season in Durham, and he gets Coach Cal game 1. I mean, that's a heck of a way to start a season.
One word: electric.
Yeah.
Another unforced miscue by Kentucky.
I mean, you're going to be watching that, right?
I have a game. Here's a look at Kentucky's first 5.
You're going to DVR it then, right?
Absolutely. Oh, are you kidding me?
Right. Go to the app. One app, one tap. Shot clock under 10. And Miller was fouled on the floor.
This is a late reach in on Brooks. The problem is you play defense with your feet, not your hands.
Oh, he's got his coaching cap on with that one. Been sitting on that one for about a year. Damian Collins back on the floor as Tshiebwe checks out.
Let me ask you this. You and I did a lot of home kick games last year.
I like it when you ask me the questions, by the way.
Do you feel like we're awfully close to each other?
I do. Not necessarily a huge fan of that, but we'll work with it. Corner 3 is good. Truett Spencer, his first bucket. Leads back to 5.
Yeah, Kentucky is going to have to do more than just parade wave at the three-point shooter.
Wheeler left open. If he can make that shot this season, different kind of player than what we saw down in Athens a year ago.
Just 32% from beyond the arc last season. So, yes, anytime you can be an added threat in terms of spacing.
It'll stay on this end. 7:23 remaining in our first half. Yeah, score is right. Miles College on top early on. Game tonight, you know, it's still college football season. A triple header right here on SEC Network. Headed your way tomorrow down in Oxford. We'll go first. Number 16, Ole Miss in the lane train rolling right along against Liberty. Mississippi State and Arkansas. Mike Leach's club ranked again inside the top 20. That's at 4, presented by Farm Ridge. And the nightcap, Florida and South Carolina, the Gamecocks and Gators, in suddenly a very important game for both sides. 7:30 kick right here on SEC Network and the ESPN app. One app, one tap.
Okay, Mr. Football, what matchup jumps out at you there?
I've got Yes Sir versus the Air Raid there at 4. Arkansas vastly improved under Sam Pittman, year number 2. They've got some big wins. They've had some tough losses, but the Air Raid versus Barry Odom's defense. A year ago, a fascinating matchup in Starkville. That win by the Hogs then put Arkansas back on the college football map. What does it look like this year?
And speaking of defense, I think Cal is talking about guarding the arc, because Miles was 7 for 8 before that miss. But of those 7 makes, they've come from 5 different players.
Washington off the mark with the floater. The rebound's controlled by Mikhail Carter. Well, an interesting start, a fun start, and an early challenge for the Cats here at home, their final exhibition.
Much better closeout by Collins on the first one.
Doesn't matter from the corner.
But not the second one. I think we're going to have a flop warning against Miles. This is another point of emphasis, especially with shooters. The rules committee this summer, at the direction of the director of officiating, J.D. Collins, they want flopping out of the game.
Said that with a lot of defiance. Wheeler nearly tripped up. Open look for Brooks, back iron. I mean, Miles College has come out like the Brooklyn Nets from downtown. What are we doing? Impressive.
If I'm a Kentucky player, I'm not sure I want to go in the locker room.
Offensive rebound up and in. Anthony Fairley connects.
Well, that will get Cal's ire very quickly. This is where Collins is the 5-man. So we talked about combinations.
Fairley swats it away out of bounds. It'll stay on this end. Checking in again is Jacob Toppin as Brooks goes out. Well, the Toppin last name just gets you excited as a basketball fan. He did a good job last year.
Speaking of one of the sad stories of 2020, the fact that Dayton was not able to play in that NCAA tournament.
That's a great point. Pushed a lot of those memories out. Washington off the mark right before the horn.
Another one?
Horton connects.
You betcha.
9 triples for Miles College. The lead swells to 10. You know, buddy, we had this show all planned out. All kinds of things we were going to talk about. I don't know that we expected an actual basketball game to break out the way that it has so far. Grady will try to change that, and an answer from downtown on the other end.
That's a good sign because he was just 1 for 4 from deep in the exhibition against Kentucky Wesleyan.
Off the screen, Miller. Grady the board.
Now here is what Kentucky has not been able to do, which is run, because they've been getting the ball out of the net all the time.
Wheeler off the mark, the board by Carter. Here come the Golden Bears. HBCU from just outside of Birmingham. It's Miles College, first ever meeting against Kentucky. And Palmy, another turnover as Miller.
Again, too many dribbles. My rule of thumb, ever how many dribbles you think you need as a guard, divide by 2 and go from there.
They call that an offensive foul. He hooked him on the
right.
flow by. To shake off some early season rust with that call. And it's a big weekend on campus here. We mentioned Tennessee's in town. Josh Heupel, primetime game tomorrow night on ESPN2.
How did they play fast?
They do.
Oh my goodness.
Of course, Coach Stoops resurrecting this football program. Grady stop and pop from distance.
Again, you're talking about a guy who scored over 2,000 points. So when he gets hot, watch out.
He's got 11 in the early going.
Well, that's the one thing, Roy, about being deep. You don't have to rely on the same guys night in and night out.
Great look inside for Joe Logan. Grady, his sharp shooting, instrumental. Big blue here in the early going. Tshiebwe inside was fouled as Logan picks up his first. Kellen Grady getting it done early on.
From deep, the Davidson transfer. I mentioned he's had 43 games of making 3 or more. And he's trying to rally the Cats at home.
Darren Chiz, thank you very much. Back here in Lexington, and a look at the SEC preseason poll as we discussed earlier. Big Blue Nation at the top and predicted to win another championship. And we got 4 other teams ranked in the preseason top 25.
I think everybody has basically agreed on the top 3. And then from 4 through 9, I think it could be a jumbled mess. I think this league is as talented and as deep, especially in the top half of the league, as I can remember. I'm not sure there's a Final Four team in here, but I can easily see 7, 8 teams getting in the tournament. I can see a 9th team being on the bubble.
Oh, I mean, we're the first half of an exhibition game, and I just heard the B word, bubble. Oh, wow. Tshiebwe at the stripe 61% a year ago, and he'll get 1 more. No, I mean, if you look back at the tournament the last 3 years when they played it, I mean, it's been 21 teams that have made the field.
Right.
So, you know, what you're talking about, SEC hoops has been on an uptick. I would say in the last 5-6 seasons. Better coaching, better recruiting. All of those metrics indicate that.
I concur completely. A little full court pressure now. A little 2-2-1 by Kentucky.
And the end results, a turnover.
And Fred Watson was not happy with Hooker, who did not go to the middle of the court. Anytime you're working against a zone press, it's imperative that you get the ball in the middle of the floor.
Miles College has 9 turnovers so far in the first half, leads by 5. Washington off glass. And rebound control by Hooker. Seemed Hooker nearly lost it. Miles College will attempt to set up the offense with a 5-point lead.
How about the fact that Kentucky's only lead has been 2-0?
I'm not sure how I'm supposed to respond to that. It's a bit stunning. 5 to shoot. Davis has held the hot hand. Baseline, not there this time. Tshiebwe the board. Here comes Wheeler.
Did you see everybody defer to Tshiebwe on the glass?
I know we did here courtside. Runner by Grady, silky smooth, off the mark. Toppin cleans it up.
If you want to be a good offensive rebounder, don't take a picture, get in the picture. Be active.
That's new material. That's new. That's the first time I've heard that one from you. Working with you 5 years. That's the first time I've heard it. I like that. That's encouraging for this season. Baseline jumper, wraparound, no good. Spencer couldn't finish. Euro step for Toppin on the other end. He'll shoot 2. So it nearly went down.
Excuse me, Roy. One of the emphasis in officiating this year, it's going to be almost impossible to travel as long as you're on the bounce with a Euro step, with a spin move, with the step back.
I heard that from J.D. Collins in our conference call earlier in the week. And I think that's encouraging for the game. And don't forget, every Saturday, Marty McGee and SEC Nation bring you extensive SEC game previews that you won't find anywhere else. This week, live from College Station, the big matchup between the Tigers and the Aggies. Coverage starts 9 a.m. Eastern tomorrow, both right here on SEC Network. Also on the ESPN app, one tap. What a scene it will be in Aggie land. We still go back to their upset at home against Alabama last month. Kind of turned college football upside down for a minute.
Have you taken your name out of the LSU running? Or are you still hoping for an interview?
No, I'm still hoping for an interview. That'd be great.
Back to the press again. Why not? Trying to speed up the Bears.
1-point advantage, under 2 to go in the first. Second and final exhibition game. The Kentucky Wildcats, preseason number 10. Open look, Joe Logan well off the mark. Wheeler controls and a chance to regain the lead for the first time since it was 2-0. Toppin left wide open. Tshiebwe hit the deck, as did Logan. Miles College comes away with it. And Hooker off glass was fouled. They're going to count the bucket on the goaltend.
Cal's not going to argue. He's more livid at his players. Leave the ball alone. You're compounding the problem. Good look at Hooker, who came down in transition. He's left-handed anyway. That ball had already hit the window, so that's a automatic and easy goaltending call. And one opportunity for that left-hander.
Hooker struggled at the line a season ago and cannot convert the 3-point play.
Roy, don't you get the feeling that Kentucky's been very impatient offensively? It hasn't come easy.
Yes. And again, surprising. Moving screen, offensive foul. That'll be the second on Tshiebwe. 11 points, 10 boards for number 34 in white in the exhibition win against Kentucky Wesleyan last week.
Wasn't a whole lot, but watch as Tshiebwe just nudges a little bit. See his left leg get wider than his shoulders, and that's the guideline.
Landis Poole with the call.
By the way, you mentioned Tshiebwe's double-double, that 11 and 10. He did that in
20 minutes.
17 minutes.
Oh. I knew it was a half or so. Under a minute to go. Davis from downtown, the lead back to 6. Davis has 11.
This is really nifty misdirection on the flare screen.
Good look inside for Ware. Strip from behind. Here come the Golden Bears again. 2-second differential between the clocks.
Yeah, what a play from behind.
My goodness. Well, not a lot of shockwaves sent across college basketball this early in the preseason. And this score certainly will do that. Count it!
Beautiful.
Truett Spencer.
That is wonderful execution.
Miles College with a 9-point lead. Beautiful spin by Wheeler. Make it 7 at the horn. And talk about electricity. Talk about shooting. 11 of 15 from downtown.
What does that tell you? Stop shooting twos. My goodness, that is lighting it up.
Davis with 11 for Miles College. Kellen Grady will match that number with 11 of his own for Kentucky. And the Cats at halftime trail by 7. Rupp Arena, loud and proud. There is work to do in our final 20 minutes, however. 46-39 our score as we send you to Dorian Chiz. Rupp Arena on a Friday night. Your eyes do not deceive you. 46-39 Division II Miles College leading Kentucky. 10th-ranked Cats have some work to do in our second half. Great to have you with us. With Mark Wise, I'm Roy Philpott. I just got these glasses about 2 weeks ago. I got to take them off after what we just saw in the first 20 minutes. Did that happen?
Well, I'm thinking that Cal is challenging his team at halftime, and he's going to ask them this. Are you just going to let this happen and go, well, gosh, they're hot, coach? Or are you going to go out and do something about it?
Chances are second half starts different than how the first half ended as we take a look at our first half highlights. And Miles College, absolutely sensational from downtown. 11 from 15 from deep to start.
Yeah, we're going to show you a lot of them, and it's not so much that they did make 11, but they got production and shots from 5 different players. Davis 3 for 3, Horton 3 for 3, Spencer 2 for 2, Carter 2 for 3. So unless Kentucky wants to play better defense, they're going to keep getting the ball out of the net. The Cats were able to claw back in late in the half, in thanks in large part to Kellen Grady, and perhaps this steal got him going offensively, because after that Grady also was effective from bonus land, knocking down 3 3-balls of his own. But if Kentucky doesn't stop getting the ball out of the net, who knows?
Now Fred Watson on the road, first ever meeting with Kentucky. Head coach for the Golden Bears has to love this start. The HBCU from just outside of Birmingham. And let's see what the final 20 has in store. We mentioned it earlier, the State Farm Champions Classic coming up in 4 days. Duke no doubt is watching this back in Durham, taking notes. Let's see what happens. Could be an entertaining final 20 in Lexington tonight. Grady off the screen from 17, off the mark.
You mentioned other coaches watching tonight. You know what every other coach that's watching this game is saying?
They're terrified that this could happen to them.
Yes, not only that, but let our team be able to shoot that way just one night.
You just never know.
Much better by Washington. Feet above the arc.
Davis has been red hot, not this time. Wheeler will push tempo. And a wide open look. Can he drain it? Yes, he can. Again, a good sign for Big Blue Nation if Wheeler can start hitting shots from the perimeter.
In this last possession in transition, there were so many good decisions by both players. Little two-man game between Wheeler and Washington. That's just great ball movement. And Wheeler had all day to line up the seams.
Wheeler, number 78 in the ESPN 100 before signing with Georgia, four-star prospect. Led the SEC in assist-to-turnover ratio a season ago for head coach Tom Grady. Active defensively tonight as well, Coach.
Right on the logo of Kaywood's court here at Kentucky. Of course, for the legendary voice of the Wildcats, Kaywood Leopard, who I grew up listening to.
I mean, you grew up in Kentucky, and you have referred to the great Commonwealth as God's country for as long as I've known you. You've only utilized that phrase probably 15 times today. And by today, I mean tonight. Golden Bears back to work. Lead cut down to 4. Tshiebwe controls a rebound.
Good no call. Law of verticality.
Wheeler was fouled. I thought they were going to count the basket. And Alandis Poole says not just yet.
This is one I think they missed. Wheeler puts it into another gear. I don't know if he touched the ball or not.
First foul on Roger Davis. How about this crowd into it?
Yeah, this is what we've missed. We've missed home crowds getting on officials.
You even gave one of these officials a fist bump, maybe 2 of them pregame. You've missed that. Officials like you. I think you're the only analyst on SEC Network that officials really are drawn to for some reason.
That's a great question, because I was raised an official's son, which I've always maintained is one of the reasons why I went into coaching.
To maintain sanity on some weird level.
My dad always had the same argument. What was the call? Didn't matter what I said, he'd go, what was the call?
Chances are it wasn't a good one. Horton misses from downtown. Tshiebwe another board.
See, Washington got away with his hand below his waist. Just kind of a wave.
Turnover for the Cats. Their 9th of the night. They'll give it right back.
Don't you sense a greater energy, a greater sense of purpose by Kentucky, though?
Yes.
So here's the isolation.
Tough to defend that. Keon Brooks the fadeaway.
I like the way Brooks was looking to see if the double was going to come. When it did not, he took what the defense gave him.
Brooks with 4. Miles College set up the offense, yet to have connected on a field goal in this half. Scoreless. Hooker off the pump fake and the penetration. And a foul call in the act of the shot. Asim Hooker will shoot 2.
Let's go back to the post up by Brooks. Keep your seam, look for the defender, look for the double team. It doesn't come. So he just gets in the air and shoots his little mid-range jumper.
That's smooth.
That's really good.
Foul was on Brooks. That's his 2nd. Hooker back to the stripe. 1 for 3 tonight, now 1 of 4. I mentioned he struggled last year at the charity stripe, just 7 of 26.
That's hard to fathom, isn't it?
Boy, it's great to be back.
I love it.
Wheeler attacking. And Kentucky back in front for the first time since it was 2-0.
Look where Kentucky's feet are defensively. Above the arc until just then.
Back iron for Hooker. Rebound up and in by Brandon Miller.
But that happened because Tshiebwe and Brooks had to close out. The big guys weren't in there to rebound.
Give some credit here to Miles College. Trying to hang around the second half against the nation's 10th ranked program. They've played well tonight. Wheeler. Hooker corrals it.
It was really a great find. Watch out.
Wheeler, transition. And one.
Wheeler has provided a spark here in the first segment of the second 20. And he's done it on the defensive end. A little thievery in transition. But watch the acrobatic finish for the end one opportunity. And that gets people here in Rupp on their feet.
Wheeler with 15 to lead all scorers tonight. Tshiebwe, the offensive rebound. And the dish was sweet. And the attack off the mark. You know, the SEC college basketball season tips off next Tuesday. We've got a doubleheader. UT Martin in Knoxville against 18th ranked Tennessee. That's at 7, followed by Louisiana Tech and number 14 Alabama from T-Town at 9. Right here on SEC Network.
I'm anxious to see Kennedy Chandler, the freshman phenom for Tennessee, and then that backcourt for Alabama. Shackelford, Quinterly, and the freshman Davison. I had a chance to see them practice a couple of weeks ago. They are sensational.
And what a great job Nate Oates has done. Alabama basketball.
Well, it just seems like Kentucky has finally got the fight back in the middle of the ring.
Davis another miss. Largest lead for the Cats. If you're just tuning in, Miles College played an outstanding first half, led by 7 at the break. Brooks, we saw this move a few minutes ago. With the bounce.
How did he get that shot off?
Now Keon Brooks injured those first 9 games a season ago. Scored 18 in the first exhibition game against Kentucky Wesleyan. It feels like everything pointed in the right direction, obviously, for 12 and White. It's about that time for him, the junior out of Fort Wayne. Logan nearly lost the handle. And a bump and a foul. No, a turnover. Big Blue gets it back after this.
Keon Brooks somehow gets this shot off and gets the kind roll. High degree of difficulty.
Night for Severe Wheeler, leading all scorers with 15 points, and he has been productive and efficient.
We often ask, how many different ways can you impact the game? Well, how about a knockdown 3? How about a drive to the rim? How about a little thievery and acrobatic finish for the and one opportunity? Well, that's what Severe Wheeler has given Kentucky here in the second half, and he leads this team in scoring and the entire game with 15. Solid shooting, 6 of 8, and has knocked down a couple of 3 balls.
14-2 run by Kentucky to start this second half after trailing by 7 at the break. Mark Weisroy, Philpott, college basketball is back in Rupp. The fans have returned tonight. It's gotten loud a couple of times that you and I have kind of elbowed each other and said, oh man, we knew we missed it. We didn't know how much we missed it after witnessing all of this again.
Well, remember in the first exhibition game, the knock on Kentucky was that they couldn't guard inside. That Kentucky Wesleyan kind of had their way block to block. Well, that has not been the case here tonight. Miles has just simply been sensational from the arc. But here in the second half, Bears 0 for 4.
Corner 3 is good. Monte Allen on his birthday from the corner.
Now, that's one of the things that Cal talked about, understanding your role. And when Allen comes in, he and Mintz, he wants them to knock down shots.
Lead swells to 8, largest for Kentucky. Off the screen, Horton in and out. And Miles College without a 3-point make to start our second half.
That was good action, though.
Heat check for Allen off the mark.
I'm okay with that shot, though. That's your role. That's what you are supposed to deliver to your team. And you just made your first one.
Big week for Kentucky basketball. The Hall of Fame induction ceremonies taking place with 3 of the all-time greats going into the Kentucky Mintz Basketball Hall of Fame. Mark, Ron Mercer, Wayne Turner, Nazr Mohammed. Grady rejected at the rack.
That's going too deep. Stop and take your mid-range jumper.
Fairley had his pocket picked. Here comes Wheeler. And substitutions now as Lance Ware checks in. Wheeler to the bench. And Bryce Hopkins as well with Tshiebwe, excuse me, taking a breather.
And again, we continue to watch these combinations that Cal is playing. So with this particular group, Washington slides back over to the point.
And you liked what you saw from Ty Washington there.
I do. I think he's so multi-dimensional. Ware with a great challenge defensively.
Watkins will feed Ware to the ball movement. Contact and a late whistle and a foul called against Miles College.
Good call by you, because that's exactly what I thought, that Hopkins got bumped as he started that drive. But I could hear Cal's voice all the way across. There was the foul right there. But I could hear Cal screaming, "Move the ball!"
The tempo for this year's team could be a lot different than what we saw last year in the shortened season, correct?
No question. In that first game against Kentucky Wesleyan, they had 78 possessions. They only had 2 games all of last year that they had 78 or more possessions, and one of those was a 2-overtime game against Mississippi State. So yes, they want to play faster. It's just hard to play faster when you're always getting the ball out of the net like Kentucky was doing in the first 20.
Mentioned the Hall of Fame induction ceremonies. Nazr Mohammed expected to join us in our next segment. World champion with the Spurs, and of course national champion here, UK. And don't forget, coming up tomorrow, the triple header on SEC Network. Liberty's only lost 2 games this year, tangling with Ole Miss. Lane Train rolls right along at noon Eastern. Mississippi State and Arkansas at 4. Gators and Gamecocks with a nightcap at 7:30. Triple header right here on SEC Network, and of course on the ESPN app. And tapped out. It'll stay on this end. And we mentioned the Hall of Famer Nazr Mohammed won that world title back in 05 with the Spurs, a couple of national championships here in Lexington, and he's going in the Hall of Fame. Nazr expected to join us coming up next here inside Rupp Arena. Nazr Mohammed inducted into the Kentucky Basketball Hall of Fame last night, along with his former teammates Wayne Turner, Ron Mercer. They were technically 2020. Nazr, the 2021 class, and great to see everybody. What a scene it was, and some all-time greats, including Antoine Walker on that back row yesterday. Well, great to have you with us, Mark Wise, Roy Philpott, Nazr Mohammed joining us right now. Great to see you. And I know what's it been like for you coming back home and just going through everything last night and then watching the game tonight?
Oh, it's been a lot of fun. Just seeing people, you know, especially to go in with Ron and Wayne, coming here and catching the Cats for the first game. It's just been a lot of fun, a lot of things thrown at us at once, but I'm enjoying it.
Roy told me that you were working out at the hotel this morning. Can you still get up and down a little bit?
I have no desire to get up and down. I probably can a little, but I have no desire to do it.
So you won 2 national championships here. You won a world title with the Spurs. Reflecting on those championships and what the experience was like starting first here at UK.
I mean, it's special because it's a team game, and it takes a group of people and coaches preparing you and teammates sacrificing, and everything that comes together to win a championship is always special. I was fortunate enough to do it here and fortunate enough to do it at the NBA level in San Antonio. So I'm just I'm happy about it, and it's something I'm proud about.
I wanted to ask Every once in a while, you run into a team that just knocks down shots, like Miles did in the first half. As a player, how do you have to adjust?
Honestly, you just you stick to your principles, you stick to your beliefs, you play a little bit harder, and you know that in an environment like this, with the fans getting behind you, and if you play it and leave it on the court, it's a long game, and you have an opportunity, and we kind of seeing that in the second half.
We mentioned Wayne Turner, Ron Mercer also inducted. You got to talk and hang out with Wayne a little bit, but what are your memories of playing with those two guys who are also now Hall of Famers here?
It was special. I mean, Ron was a special talent. We all knew that from his high school days and coming into here, and Wayne was one of the best penetrators I've ever played on the same team with. I mean, he could just get to the rim on anybody, and it's special going into the Hall of Fame with guys that I came into college with.
I wanted to ask, do you have a special memory of a special game here in Rupp?
In Rupp. I mean, I have some good ones and some bad ones. The bad ones being losing to Florida on senior night. That still burns.
Still stings, huh?
It still stings to this day.
He sounds like a coach because you ask him a question about a game. He can only first remember the sting.
Yes, I was fortunate enough to only have 12 losses in my 3 years, and I remember those 12 losses like they were yesterday. I see Miles Simon often as far as at the NBA level. He's a coach, assistant coach with the Lakers, and I tell him every time I see him, I'm still not ready for him to speak to me yet.
All right, last question for you. We'll let you enjoy the game. The sport, the game itself, it's changed a lot in recent years, and especially since you've been playing NBA and here in college. What do you make of all the adjustments and the changes we've seen on the court and off?
It's fun to watch. I mean, it's more of it's a fan's game to watch. You know, it's less back to the basket, of course, but at the same time, the athleticism, the pace. You know, they're putting up a lot more points, to shooting the threes. It's just a very fun game to watch. I wish I was still could move like that to get out there and play with those guys, but it's definitely a fan's game.
Well, we appreciate you spending some time.
Yeah, man. Congratulations on the Hall of Fame. That's awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
He's the man, Nazr Mohammed, Hall of Famer now here at UK. 61-50. Halfway through our first half as Fairley just picked up his third personal. And a baseline J. Too strong for Bryce Hopkins.
Roy, notice that Miles is not getting the same clean looks from beyond the arc that they did in the first frame.
That's an understatement. Miles College Division II SEAC champions, back-to-back seasons. Challenge in the first half. Big Blue Nation flexing in the second. Getting ready for Duke coming up on Tuesday night up in the NYC. And an offensive foul called as Ty Washington drew the charge.
That's a good thing because Kentucky had given up a second shot opportunity. And knowing Cal as I do, one thing that will drive him crazy is if his team doesn't get a better handle on being one and done on the glass on the defensive end.
It was a fun conversation.
Oh my gosh, that was awesome.
And when he was walking over here, you can feel the pride.
How about the fact that everybody behind us and around us are Nazi. Yeah. I mean, that's what playing at Kentucky's all about.
Ty Washington, sweet finish, a patient move down the paint. He's got 12. It doesn't seem like it was that long ago when those guys were playing. Like my college basketball here in Kentucky, go back to Rex Chapman, not much earlier than that, but Wayne Turner, Ron Mercer, Ozzie, those guys are winning multiple championships. It's back in the late 90s. I mean, it has been a while.
I think Ron Mercer, to me, had a little Grant feel to him.
Grant Hill?
Grant Hill, excuse me, in terms of the way he could slash, make shots. I think he wore 33 as well.
Yeah, I can buy that. Good night for Severe Wheeler, the alley-oop. And hitting the deck hard. Davion Collins.
I couldn't tell who banged into who between Collins and Josh Hill.
Well, Collins listed at only 6'9", but the wingspan at 7'4", so he can go up and get it.
I don't know if Hill hit him or not.
He's going to be in some Sports Center top 10 plays as the season gets underway. Miller open from the corner in the first triple of the second half for Miles College. It's back to 10.
Again, Kentucky got into rotations defensively.
Brooks tried to answer. Miller skies for the rebound in traffic. Approaching 8 minutes to go. Do we revisit your checklist that we started out with tonight?
Absolutely.
All right, we'll have to do that as we get closer to the end, but I think they've received some passing grades for some of those items on the list and maybe not as much for some others.
Right.
Rucker connects and the lead is down to 8.
Tough shot, shot with confidence. See, that's a hard look.
Eight-point advantage. 7:30 remaining. Miles College with possession. They led by 7 at halftime. Seven-point advantage on the strength of 11 made threes in our first 20 minutes today. And Rucker travels. 17 turnovers for Miles College. The lead is 8 for Kentucky. You want to talk about starting off with a bang. The State Farm Champions Classic. You got 4 teams: Kansas, Duke, Kentucky, Michigan State. 3 of those programs, of course, ranked in the top 10. It's going to be pretty special.
And don't talk to me about Michigan State being 6 in the Big Ten.
You're not buying it.
They're going to give Kansas some problems. Kansas playing a little shorthanded, but that 9:30 game, yeah, I'll be watching.
Kentucky leads the all-time series against the Blue Devils 12-10. However, Coach K 6-2 against Coach Cal, and this potentially their last meeting, unless we see those two perhaps in the big dance come March.
Wouldn't that be special?
Yes, it would. And something tells me that some matchup like that will be in the works. As you see, the Swan Song final season in Durham. 41 years coaching the Blue Devils in the 5 national championships.
I don't even want to think about that finale March 5th, home game against Carolina.
Wow.
Can you get me a ticket?
If you got about 5 G's on you as Jacob Toppin slams it home.
I don't even think that will sniff it.
I mean, if you're a Duke student and you get student tickets, I mean,
yes,
yeah, you want to be there, but
tuition.
I mean, come on. That's cash money. Lead is back to 10. First action for Toppin tonight. He's got 10 points. So again, a good sign if you're a fan of the Cats. Miller nearly turned it over, and in fact, a shot clock violation.
And Roy, here's what Kentucky's players better understand in the last almost 6.5 minutes. Determinations, evaluations about who's going to play Tuesday night against Duke are still going on.
Really?
Right now.
Okay. So I will ask you this question.
Yeah.
As crazy as this sounds, if you're Coach Cal, does part of you not necessarily like the fact that you've been tested, but maybe on some weird coaching level you kind of do because of what's ahead?
I think he would shrug his shoulders, roll his eyes.
Right. If I asked him,
and
certainly.
Privately, he's going, absolutely.
Really?
Because it's a see, I told you so moment the next couple of days. That's going to be about what practice is going to be for Cal. See, when the video session starts. See.
Yeah, I don't want to be there for that video
no,
session. I'm good.
You're uncomfortable now, me just talking about it.
You put on your coaching cap, and I felt like I was being coached down to a certain level. Tshiebwe at the stripe. Mentioned 61% at the line a year ago.
Can I just say, the way I expressed that to you is really kind. It will not be that way in the video room.
He's going to get after him.
Yes.
Yeah, I would think so.
And guess what? I would too.
Hey, credit tonight with what we've seen from Miles College. HBCU from just outside of Birmingham. And they've won some SEAC championships playing D2 basketball. This is a really solid program, a good program, and a team that's going to be ready to contend at its level this season.
I said this in the first minute after watching them at shoot-around today. They run good stuff. They're well coached. They've won all these games in the last 3 years. Yeah, there's a reason why they're picked first in the West in their conference. Tuskegee and Central State being right behind them.
All a part of the Unity Series, which will see matchups over the course of the next 5 years. Which is fantastic for the growth of the sport inside the Logan. Two-handed flush and still a 9-point contest.
Nice job again running their stuff and breaking the defense down. I think if I'm Cal, the most disappointing thing is their defense has disrupted nothing outside of Wheeler.
And that was a semi-concern coming off the win against Kentucky Wesleyan. They scored 95, but they give up 72.
Fred Watson's team has made them grind in this one.
Head coach for the Golden Bears, year number 4. Won their last 6 games of 2021 as Tshiebwe goes to the stripe, and Cats are in the bonus rest of the way. Transfer out of West Virginia, reported to campus back in February, not eligible, of course, last season.
See, part of the evaluation for Tshiebwe and his free throw struggles at times, can you have him in a late game situation in a close game?
Well, you need him because you got to get rebounds, right?
But you can't have missed free throws.
The defense will get it right back, and another flush for Logan. 66-59, the lead trimmed to 7.
If this were a regular season game, what would we be talking about right now?
Coach Cal taking a timeout?
No, well, maybe that, but we're in a 3-possession game, upset alert.
Yeah. You already mentioned the word bubble in the first half. It made me uncomfortable. Ty Washington will make opposing defenses uncomfortable.
But again, there's that chemistry between Wheeler and Washington. I really like what I'm seeing there.
He's got 15 points tonight, 4 boards, 5 dimes. The former 5-star, 14th ranked player in the ESPN 100, according to our friend Paul Biancardi, who's just chomping at the bit, getting ready for this season. I talked to him today. He's got his updated recruiting rankings. He's got all the stuff, the new articles coming out on ESPN.com. And it is his time to shine. Here's the lob. And the finish. And how did Toppin throw that one down?
Again, a great find in transition. Some easy points. That is what Kentucky has really lacked in their transition game.
That could be SportsCenter top 10, the way Toppin was able to get that one to go down, almost floating away from the rim for a split second. Here's more of that defense you were talking about. And a foul called on Wheeler. That's his second.
Talking about Kentucky playing much better defense, that leads to transition opportunities. How about the find by Washington and the finish by Toppin?
Well, it starts to count coming up Tuesday night, the season opening night of the SEC. Tennessee and UT Martin from Knoxville at 7 tips things off, followed by Louisiana Tech. 14th ranked Alabama from T-Town, 9 Eastern, Tuesday night, the opening night of college basketball. Of course, right here on SEC Network, also the ESPN app, one tap, as we take a look at Professor Wise's breakout players in the conference.
I think these are guys that are poised to make a big splash this season in the SEC, whether you're talking about Devo Davis or Walker Kessler, the transfer, Anthony DeRougie, the forward from Florida. Keon Ellis, no one is talking about. He's going to have a big year. Jarkel Joyner, he's one of the mid-range masters that you love. And finally, I think Keon Brooks is on the list. I look for him to have a big year.
Brooks missed his first 9 games. A season ago, we talked about the leg injury. And a former elite prospect, number 36 in the ESPN 100, according to Director of Recruiting Paul Biancardi. Inside the basket by Logan, makes it a 10-point affair. Mark Wise, Roy Philpott. I like Brooks's game as well. We've seen him with those floaters in the paint,
right,
high with the elevation and release.
Yeah, he hasn't knocked down any 3 balls, but he made 4 in the exhibition against Kentucky Wesleyan. You have to remember, he made 6 all of last year.
6 a season ago, 4 in the exhibition win.
Against Kentucky Wesleyan.
Yeah, that's good. Allen, stop and pop.
Know your role.
And you said it earlier, he comes off the bench, he's eyeing those threes. Now the scoreboard tomorrow won't tell the story for what we have witnessed here tonight. Some teachable moments for Coach Cal, some learning moments for this team that's really mixed with a lot of youth and experience with the transfers.
Nice job of being active on the glass by Allen.
From the corner, Kellen Grady.
That is the way Cal wants to play this year, but it all starts with being able to defend and rebound. And they get them up on their feet here at Rupp.
First points of the second half for Kellen Grady, the transfer from Davidson. And Grady, boy, that stroke is ultra smooth in transition. This is what the Cats are going to look like this year. Potentially special. And don't forget, coming up Sunday, we'll have the SEC Women's Soccer Tournament Championship match right here for you on SEC Network and the ESPN app. It's #1 seed Arkansas, #2 Tennessee, 2 Eastern, 1 Central from the Orange Beach Sportsplex in Orange Beach, Alabama. Mark Wise, Roy Philpott revisiting the checklist from earlier tonight. Tell me what you've seen.
I don't think there's many high points in terms of execution. Are you in the right place at the right time on both ends of the floor? The decision making, the assist to turnover ratio much better in the second half. The combinations, we talked about that all season, or excuse me, all game long. And then the conditioning part, because there have been so many bodies that Cal has, I just don't see that as being an issue. And then they're 2 minutes plus, a little bit more than 2 minutes from getting out of this game without any injuries. So, you know, a mixed bag, and that's exactly what we saw.
Yeah. We'll talk with Coach Cal as soon as clocks hit 000 tonight. Great atmosphere at Rupp this evening.
Here's one more nugget for you. Kentucky's played much better defense in the second half, and they've done it without fouling. Just 3 team fouls.
Cats outscoring Miles College 37-15 in our second half tonight. Last shot by Kellen Grady officially changed to a 2-pointer for those wondering back at home, and we know that you were.
See that challenge by Hopkins and the deflection out of bounds? Kentucky had none of that energy early in this game. They better have it on Tuesday night.
Something tells me they will.
And they will.
World's most famous arena, top 10 Duke, first meeting in a couple of years, opening night of college hoops, all the ingredients Coach Cal and company you love.
Tshiebwe with a bad decision at the end of that. There's no reason to swat. Stay high. That's what Cal's, see, that's exactly what Cal's talking about. Swatting at the ball.
SEC with 5 teams ranked in the preseason top 25.
Right.
Arkansas, a lot of people very excited about the job Eric Musselman has done. Alabama, Nate Oates. Auburn and Bruce Pearl kind of re-entering that mix.
It's going to be a heck of a season. I don't think there's any doubt about that. So you just can't have that pass deflected. If that pass is deflected against Miles, that's a pick 6 Tuesday night.
Hopkins the fadeaway from 10 feet out. And a foul called against Damian Collins.
But again, Roy, I come back to this. That's a foul by Collins because he knew his tail better get out there on the quick 3-point attempt. Kentucky didn't. They fouled no one at the arc in the first 10 minutes of this game.
Yeah. Hooker off the mark. Rebound by Logan. Davis from downtown. Roger Davis has been a sharpshooter. He's got 14.
Again, second shot opportunity, offensive rebound leads to a great 3-ball. I haven't been real impressed with Kentucky's what we call cover down. What I mean by that is a big guy goes over to help. There's got to be other defenders on the weak side covering down to get in the glass. And they haven't been very good at that.
13-point lead, just over a minute to go. Hooker will pick up his 4th personal. Now, Fred Watson, year number 4, down in Fairfield, Alabama. Great job on the road tonight. First ever meeting against Kentucky. And you look at his resume these last couple of seasons. He's won nearly 80% of his games. Those 2 championships in the SEAC. And his team, his program, ranked for the first time in school history. Great job tonight. And we'll certainly hear more from the Golden Bears, the D2 level. The 3 by Miller. Under a minute to go. Now Kentucky was tested. Was not easy.
Okay.
And a strong second half, the difference this evening at Rupp. Transition, will send it outside to Brandon Miller.
They have made so many really great decisions with the ball. Attract shot blockers, find a teammate on the perimeter. And Miles has done that all game long. In transition, you have to find shooters on the perimeter. Ball gets into the paint, the ball fake. Don't force it, find a shooter. Bears have done that so well tonight.
Fred Watson's club, Mark, 15 of 30 from 3-point range tonight. You're going to beat a lot of ball games shooting that clip.
Yes.
And a 9-0 run to certainly change the complexion of this score. Well, you just never know. You never know, especially early season college hoops, what kind of hand you're going to be dealt. Golden Bears connecting on their last 3 3-point attempts. And coming out of this timeout, hey, you're looking for a steal, a quick bucket, and try to really make this thing interesting.
Everything is a learning curve for Kentucky right now, even with 32.7 and a 7-point game, but it doesn't look like Miles is going to pressure.
And Fred Watson indicating as much. 2-second differential between the clocks. Cats haven't lost an exhibition game since 2002. That will continue tonight as that streak remains intact. Hopkins fouled at the elbow. Free throws coming up. It's been fun. This has been fun tonight.
Man.
And I know Kentucky fans, you watch this and you've kind of experienced a little roller coaster of emotions. But hey, crowd's back in it. Fans are going to regain the home court advantage here in Lexington. And this team's going to have a vastly different vibe to it as we get deeper into the season compared to a year ago.
In this state, this game will be dissected 8,000 times a day between now and Tuesday.
Shot clock is off. One more possession for the Golden Bears. And no desperation heave. Our final score 80-71. John Calipari, Fred Watson. The handshake near midcourt. And what a showing for Miles College on the road against one of the all-time great programs in college basketball. Difference tonight, Severe Wheeler scoring 8 of Kentucky's first 10 points to start our second half. Cats went from down 7 to up 1 during that stretch. The Georgia transfer making things happen for Big Blue Nation. They'll end the night with 15, 6 dimes, and a couple of boards as UK holds on. Big night as well for Kellen Grady, 11 first half points. Cats shoot 11 of 19 from deep. That's 58%. And that second half surge, at one point it was a 24-9 run to change the complexion of this one. Of course, the State Farm Champions Classic coming up Tuesday night. 9:30 tip against 9th-ranked Duke. What a way to start the 2021 season. What a night here at Rupp Arena. The fans are back, and a mere precursor of what's to come as the regular season starts in just 4 days. Well, Mark Wise awaiting arrival of Coach Cal. We'll get his thoughts on what we witnessed tonight and some of those teachable slash coachable moments. And Mark has Coach Cal right now.
Thanks, Roy. Cal, obviously the first thing to ask is what was said at halftime.
Were you watching the game? Like, how could you let a guy get a 3 off if you were watching the game? We're in the mode of, instead of having 6'5" guys they're trying to establish who's who. And so now something breaks down and you're not able to play through it. You and I talked about next play. I thought defensively better in the second half, more energy, guarded the 3, we rebounded the ball and we went. But we're still, you know, we got guys holding it and ball faking and, you know, we got a ways to go. Our post defense was better, we jammed better, and then all of a sudden now it's the 3-point.
Yeah, I talked about that.
It's like you work on one thing, but this is typical for us, and you know, we got a tough road to go. I mean, we got to play Duke in the Garden, and we play like this, it ain't gonna be fun. So,
you and I talked about combinations today. Did anything stand out?
You know, I got to go back and watch the tape. I thought Jacob Toppin gave us energy, you know, and now it's, you know, a couple other guys. We got to get guys knowing when you go in and play well, you may play more, and someone else got to play less. Won't believe this. You only have 5 guys on the court. We got to deal with a little bit of that. Today, I thought Kellen played well, which limited Davion's minutes then. I thought Dante played well and shot the ball well in the second half. Now, all of a sudden, you know, Jacob plays. That means Bryce a little bit. It's just trying to figure out. What you got to do is we're playing to win, and I'm going to be next man up and be ready. But we got a ways to go.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Roy, let's go back to you.
Well, Professor Wise, intriguing evening inside of Rupp Arena. Ty Washington scored 15. Severe Wheeler matched him with 15 as well. Big Blue Nation trailing by 7 at halftime. Storms back in the second half against D2 Miles College. The Golden Bears out of the SEAC. Duke awaits on Tuesday night, 9:30 over on ESPN. What a scene it will be at MSG. Our final score tonight, once again, 80-71. Coming up next, SEC Now. For Mark Wise, I'm Roy Philpott saying good night from Lexington.